Hello, this is Gene. I just want to know if you're feeling what I'm feeling. I see there's a turn in the world, and it's weird. It's taken a while to get here. I keep waiting and waiting and waiting that whatever happens, that's going to wake up more and more people. And we're starting to see it now. You're going to get some people out there that say, "Well, that's TikTok is doing all this stuff, and it's run by the CCP, and they want to divide us." And I'm talking about, they had the Bin Laden letter out there, and young people are seeing it and saying that what he said was probably okay. Similar to guys my age, looking back at what Hitler said, saying things like, he was kind of right in a lot of things. And there's a video out there, there's a commercial out there where this kid is with his dad, and he's, and they're showing like somebody put like a swastika on a school or something and says, and you're putting online that Hitler was right. And then, but I wish that the current commercial would actually go down and find out how many people actually are the ones that put those the graffiti on. Most of those times are usually Jews that do this, or black people. It's rare that the kid that's sitting there, the demographic they thinks that are so anti-Semitic, happen to be white people. And we're seeing this awakening from big influencers on the right that says what they're saying to white kids in colleges and high schools, basically saying that you're the oppressor, and because of the color of your skin, and everybody else is the victim. We're getting really huge traction on this now, and it's interesting because the people that thought that run all the media, they thought they control all the narrative, and they've seen it somewhat slipping away once Elon Musk took over Twitter, and they're saying that there are other platforms. They said, go ahead, if you're a conservative, which I'm not really. I'm still a Democrat, haven't changed my affiliation, and I voted for Obama twice. Um, it's this idea that, oh, well, if you don't like what they do on Twitter or on Facebook, do your own thing. And now there's a couple of platforms that have it, and they can't totally control that, even though a lot of Jews are run that shit as well. But they're more free speech people, and they're really to have the debate. So when we have these discussions, it's not a slight to the Jewish people. It's not anti-Semitic when something is talked about, and we have truth behind us, the facts behind us, and it happens to be a Jewish person running it. That's not anti-Semitic. It's anti-Semitic to say I'm against what the nation of Israel is doing in Palestine, whether you're for it or not. I'm just saying as a scenario, if that's not anti-Semitic, and you cannot allow them to continually say this. It's another ism that they use to shut down debate. And I keep telling my sons and everybody else that in the 80s and the 90s, we had this debate every morning. And there might have been some vitriol on these shows, but we had the debate. We talked about the Holocaust in the 70s and the 80s, and a lot of people believe that the story was, let's just say, was exaggerated. It's not the fact that Hitler didn't intern Jews and other people, that people died in the camps. We all know this happened, but the industry that happened after the war to vilify a set of people because they happen to look like Hitler, and this has been going on in Europe for 80 years, and now it's here in the United States. And these little things in colleges, when they sit there and say, because you're white, your ancestors were always oppressive, and you are now a victim of that, or you're the purveyor of that, and you have to be punished retroactively. So these guys that actually have been running the media in this country forever, in the Western media forever, even though they're only 2% of the population, they're seeing that their whole is being somewhat challenged, let's say. And the fact that they don't really have any argument for or not. I mean, this whole thing with Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens, and they both have their issues. Again, as a former Democrat, again, I have not changed my thing. I don't put undecided. I just don't do it. I voted for Trump in both years. I don't necessarily like his stance on Israel. I think that he's a puppet for Israel as well, just like DeSantis. Just but pretty much everybody is, and that's something that needs to change. I'm America first, right? And when somebody like Vivek says he's America first, but then he starts spouting certain things that I would not believe is America first, I have problems with that. And he's the closest thing that we have to America first candidate. So Candace Owens, she was on a Tucker show, and they were talking about free speech and talking about the anti-white stuff on free speech and on campuses, and it's been going on for a while. And now, because there's people that are somewhat pro-Palestinians, that those people should be on list. They can't be hired and stuff like that. Now, as a free speech advocate, unless you're not, I mean, if you're out in the streets and you're saying I want to kill Jews and you're going after Jewish people, you have to stop that, right? We don't, but you should be allowed to protest for Palestine or the idea of free Palestine or have their own state. That's what the United States is all about. And now we have these people come out saying, I can't believe you're allowing this to happen. Hey, Mr. Government, Mr. President, stop this shit. But they weren't saying shit when they were doing the same shit to white people. When they were saying it's the white people is the problem. Even though it was the white people, the Christians, that made this greatest country of all time. Our Constitution, one of the greatest documents ever written. A document so great that we allowed it to be changed over time. That we had, not loopholes, but an ability to say, everybody becomes a full human later on, because we weren't there at that time. But we had the ability in that document to do that, and we did that, giving the women the right to vote. Whether that's been good or bad for the United States, that's another debate. But the thing is, we have the ability to do that. You can't really do that in other places. We were the first republic, and we should be looked at that signing hill on the whatever that Reagan talked about. Because the idea of what we are is very important. And they talked about in their thing is this idea of the identity of the United States, the Americans, what that really means. And when you just destroy the majority of the country and you say they're the oppressor, and then their kids grow up and they believe this shit, and then of course they're going to go and probably support things against what you probably don't like, right? Especially when you're in liberal universities, they're going to a lot of people are going to be on that side of Palestine. And I've been on both sides on this. I think that Israel should be existing, but this idea that Israel and the Israelites were there first, it's not right. Okay, I mean, if you believe the Bible, which I do, is that you have the tribes of the 12 tribes, right? I think one of them, you have Abraham, right? And that's Muslim. All the people kind of like points to that. The Muslims, the Arabs, Christians, and the Jews all kind of point to that. And then you have Isaac, I believe, is the father of the 12 tribes, and he was born in what we know as Iraq. He was clearly an ethnic Arab. He was clearly a Semite. So when these people are saying that you can't say this about that and that, these are Semites that are having issues that they've had for 300,000 years. But you can't, if you say something against Israel, that's anti-Semitic. But if you don't want Palestinians' babies to killed, that's anti-Semitic as well. These are all anti-Semitic. Now, there is some truth. I don't like it so much, but there are some people that will say that this is a white versus brown war. The thing is, there's a small sect of Jewish people that have a lot of white characteristics. They also have the highest IQ there. But the normal ethnic Jew and the ethnic Palestinian, the ethnic Iranian or Iraqian, Jordanian, these are all pretty much either brothers or cousins. It's like Germany and France, or Germany and Denmark. These are people that are genetically very similar. And we all have this problem that these brother wars all the time. We have that all the time, especially when you're right in the same area. When they talk about, well, they were here first. Well, everybody back then, they didn't have what we have now, right? But they had to walk everywhere. So everybody walked over that land. All of them have got ancestors. They got bones in the ground from their ancestors that were there. There are a lot of people in Israel that came from the United States that live there. They don't really have that lineage. Most of their lineage is from somebody in Europe. That's another video as well, because when you actually talk to a Jew, it depends if they really are a Jew, and you know that they're Jewish. They're a little bit darker. They don't look like David Rubin. They don't look like Ryan Gosling. They don't look like Jake Gyllenhaal. These are people that look like the people in the area, Mediterranean features, that type of thing. When you ask them if they're white, they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then if you ask a white Jew if he's white, sometimes they say they are, other times they won't. They will not say they're white if it's something that's going to be bad for them. Then they're going to take the victim narrative and say, no, I'm a Jew, I'm a minority, I'm this and this and that. So what happened, which was very interesting about this little topic that Tucker and Candace had, and like I said, Candace she's got shit in her back. I mean, she does. And when we talk about the free speech thing, she was favoring of something 6, 7 years ago that she was going to dox people on Twitter because they were saying things. You know, she was doing the stuff that she was pretty much a feminist back then. But a lot of people changed. I changed. So, but again, I don't think I really changed that much. I think my party left me. My focus was always the same, that this country, the opportunity that we have in this country is better than any place else, and we should protect that. And at first, I would never thought that putting a border wall would solve anything. I thought we were better than that. You know, I never thought that all the people that come across, I just didn't understand the amount of change demographically that was happening. And now it's 10 times worse, 100 times worse, and we're still not doing nothing about it. So they had this conversation about that, and they actually talked about the whole the white anti-white shit. Now Candace is in a mixed relationship, so she has white kids as well. I mean, that's how she looks at them. Now she said before, she said to Dr. Phil that she's going to have them put down black if they want to get stuff, if they're going to still have affirmative action because they get more shit out of it. She doesn't like that idea. She doesn't think we should do that. So it's interesting to have this conversation. They're talking about the man, you know, Ben Shapiro, that talks about facts over his feelings. And Shapiro has just been running around like a fucking woman in a lot of ways. And I get it. He wants to defend his country. He is America last, Israel first. And I think we're finally seeing this. You're seeing the divide. We sat there because we're white people and we just allow it to happen. The last 10 years in college is camping, so we're like, fuck it. It doesn't going to bother me at all. They're going to do that. They're going to let the people come across the border. As long as they come into my area, I'm going to be okay with it. And I kept saying to myself, why are we not marching in Washington, D.C.? Why aren't we saying that we got to shut down the border? Why are we not doing all this stuff? And these people that control everything thought they could just say whatever they wanted to say. They could get on their online and say stupid shit and just be so emotive, saying that America needs to go in and support Israel in their genocide against the Palestinians. And they just thought that was going to be fine, that we were just going to allow that to happen. It's shocking that we're having this big of a blowback, because you would have thought you would take care of your own tribe. We're just not like, I guess we waited at the last. They became so arrogant. It's like Ben Shapiro was saying this right after this happened. Everything he said was so arrogant, that you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that. And that it doesn't really care if white lives have to die to save Israel. It shouldn't. This is the same guy that says he doesn't care about the browning of America. I don't really care so much if these people here to be American citizens, but just having people come across the border that don't have our values, I have an issue with. Because we always want to trust that, right? I said that 7 years ago on this channel. I coined the idea of Americanism before Trump did. And I put it out there. Of course, nobody really saw it. And I said that we have to understand, we have to know the people who come across the border. We need to shut down the border right now, because it will just fundamentally, demographically change this country. And you can make whatever references you want to talk about that. White people came over here, had a faith in Christians. Most of them were Christians. Some of the founding fathers weren't, but they believed in God. But clearly, they used the Bible as some sort of a textbook, I guess, to create our founding documents. And these are things we have to understand. This is how we were formed in this country, under God as well. So it was nice to see that she brings up God. And people said that, well, she was talking about God a couple years ago, and I'm like, she just said on that call that she changed 100% when she had her first kid. All of a sudden, she became more religious at that time. And what if you have that experience of birthing a kid? Don't you think that might be something that might wake you up to something that's more than just yourself? So I'm not going to say 100% with her and everything, because she said some stupid shit in the past, but so did I, you know. And there were a lot of people back in 2014, 2015 that just woke up. What I'm seeing now is more of another awakening, and that's good to see. And it's from, everybody thought on the left that they got everything now, because now the people come across the border, they'll be Democrats, and the youth will all be Democrats. And you see that the people that are marching, but they're also, these people, young kids, are also finding out other issues, and they're looking at things that happened back in the 40s, and why Hitler was doing what he was doing, and why he wanted to save Germany from the influence that certain people had. And this is the issue that we have right now, okay? People are finally waking up to this and realize, what, I can't talk about it, and if I am, I'm missing that. Who's really controlling all this? And you're like, why should they have that kind of control? And then once you go down that rabbit hole, once you can sit up here, and many people have said this, I did this before, that Ben Shapiro is a gateway, and he hates hearing that, because he said, they said I'm on the alt-right, and all these Nazi people hate him and stuff, and all, but him has been once you get to the top of that rabbit hole, you go down there, and then you start going down, then the rest of the world comes open to you. And people were just sitting around here. I'm way down here, okay? I've been down there for 3 or 4 years. I mean, I was around here, okay, the top for a year, and then here, I've been here forever. And then the last 3 or 4 years, I've gone further and further down. It's like each time you're just waking up more and more and more. Now, some of it's true. Some of it's just the Matrix, the simulation, all that stuff. You have to we're not talking about how this actually affects us and who's actually running everything. And there are elite groups of people in the West, almost dominant by the same group of people. It's not all of them. I'm talking about the normal. It's not all of them, but there's a lot of people that do this, and they have an agenda, and people are starting to wake up, and this is a very good thing. Now, again, it doesn't. It's the emotive that I see on. I'm so scared for right now if I'm a Jewish person living in New York, because people are protesting. I'm like, unless you look like a Jew, I don't think you have to worry about anything. If you're a white Jew walking around town, I don't think you have to worry too much anything. But if you're a Hasidic Jew or something like that, it's clear that you're a Jew, you might, but it's not probably going to be from the people protesting. You might have a few of them, some stupid young people, same with Antifa, people like that, do stupid shit. But you were getting hit before from other people, from other races, just because, okay? And it's very interesting to see that they can't hold the narrative anymore. So what you're seeing is their go-to is call themselves the victim, to bring up the Holocaust, to say everybody that even questions anything is anti-Semitic. Nobody's really giving a shit about. Nobody at this point is really arguing any of that shit anymore. They're saying, no, we don't want what Israel is doing, the government of Israel. And we don't like what they're doing. We don't believe that babies should be killed on the other side because your babies got killed. That's not anti-Semitic. Truth is not anti-Semitic. Once you start going down that road and you say, wait a second, you're going to do whatever Israel does, people like say, wait a second. And people are out now are starting to wake up, and the young people are starting to wake up. Doesn't necessarily mean they're not going to be people on the right anymore. There's still people can be on the left. We can have stupid government for the next 100 years. But they understand now that the narrative is changed almost overnight. Now, again, this could be just a false dawn. It may not actually mean anything. But to see basically what Nick Fuentes has been saying for the last 6 years, 7 years, to come fruition to the mainstream alternative media on the right, and they're all talking about shit that Nick has been talking about, saying this is what's going to happen. And Nick, to his credit, said it would all come out. But today or yesterday, he said it's just a lot quicker than he thought it was going to be. But that's what happens when you start going when you start that ball rolling, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you got TikTok platforms that just bring it out there in very small morsels, and people can get it and like, oh, and then they go further down. And then depending on the individual person, you can go out and actually understand and be more awakened and understand things and get more knowledge. Other people do other things, and they might do something. They might do violent type stuff. People in the MRA years ago had people that did things to girls because they weren't getting sex and stuff like that. You're going to always have individual people that might look at things and become this. I mean, it's like the Christchurch thing. I think they blamed Candace for some of the things she said. And like Candace Owens back then, when she was blamed, was was a Coast Republican. It just, it's interesting. It's hard for me to actually trust these people at this level. You know, Tucker, I want to believe. Candace, I want to believe. I think they're on the right trail. I think that even Charlie Cook actually called out the Jews again, talk about the elitist Jews that talk about what's going on college campuses, and he's been doing that for 5-6 years. So he sees the oppressive that they do to white people just because of the color of their skin, and we're like, we stopped all this shit. Don't you remember that thing, the after-school special, when they separate everybody on the colors of their eyes, and they said how stupid this can be done, and it's back, and it's the government is allowing it. The federal government's allowing it, and the federal government has these ideas of what hate speech is. They have laws on the book now that says you can't say what Candace has said when you said you can't be a slave to both God and money. I think that's what she said. You can't have two masters. That would be considered anti-Semitic because I guess that only people think that Jewish people have money, and they can't. What's going on over there? Oh, they're building that stuff across the street. So anything, or dual loyalty, if you say that Ben Shapiro is America last and Israel first, that's anti-Semitic. You can't say that's Congress people that are from Jewish or that have that have passports that they look at Israel first, and they clearly do, or they clearly have dual loyalty, but it's in their it's in the charter there, and they've had many resolutions about this. We have a state law in Florida that DeSantis signed in Israel. That's not Florida first. That's Israel first. What the Supreme Court already ruled on this. There is no such thing as hate speech. You cannot. If I say that this person over here, I don't like him because he's this and that, that's fine. But I can't say now go kill him. There's a difference, right? If I say that on average that 12%, 3% of the 13% of the population has 55% of the murders, and we identify that group, that's not racism. That's truth. That's facts. It's interesting to see that the man that pretty much coined the facts over feelings has only been emotive and doing odd ad hominem attacks against Candace and other people, including Tucker Carlson. But he's not the only one. David Rubin has become like a fucking woman as well. And again, he's a gay man, so I guess there's something to that. But this every day he's on Twitter and he's just putting shit out there. If anybody has any questions now, it's anti-Semitic and these people should no longer be in school. They should not be allowed to have their job. They should be. And I'm like, these are the people that said we can't have cancer culture. I don't get it. So anyway, the guy here is working my lawn, so I'm going to go ahead and leave right now. But tell me if you think that if the turning has actually happened. I think it has, and I hope it's a good thing. It might be very difficult for a while, but I think it actually would be a good thing for everybody. Tell me if you've actually felt it. Do you think something's coming? We'll talk to you in the comments. You guys have a good day. Bye.